Hi everybody, thank you for attending today's Valley Road Bridge Stakeholders Meeting. My name is Amy Sikowski, I'm from McCormick Taylor. So the Valley Road Bridge project, it's a bi-county bridge that's located in Berners Township, Somerset County, and Long Hill Township, Morris County. Both counties are the project sponsors for this project. They're grant recipients from NJTPA's Local Concept Development Study Program. They received a grant in 2017 for a local concept development, that's LCD study. So I'll be using that abbreviation through the presentation. Also part of the project team is NJDOT. They're providing technical support as well as ensuring that the project is complying with federal and state regulations. NJTPA is the lead public agency, and they're also the grant administrator for the project. And FHWA is they provided the funding for the study. So the project team is led by McCormick Taylor. We're the prime consultant. We have sub-consultants. We have Amercon Corporation. They perform traffic data collection as well as base mapping and project survey. RGA Inc. Completed the cultural resources. They'll be completing the cultural resources documentation for the project. And Stokes Creative Group is responsible for website development, social media, and also they're filming and taking photos of the different public meetings. So the purpose of the meeting, okay, there's a couple different screens you can look at. So the purpose of this meeting is to provide an introduction to the local capital project delivery process. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, that is illustrated on the board over here. This board will go over it a little bit in more detail further along in the presentation. And this project will follow this local capital project delivery process all the way from the concept development phase all the way through construction. We'll also be introducing the LCD study for the Valley Road Bridge and providing some information and presenting the results of the data collection and analysis efforts to date. And then also the most important part of the meeting is to obtain stakeholder input regarding the project purpose and need statement. As of right now, we've developed a draft purpose and need statement for the study based on our analysis of the existing conditions. However, we still need to get input from local officials, stakeholders, and the general public before we finalize that purpose and need statement, because that'll form the basis for the rest of the project moving forward. So the Valley Road Bridge takes County Route 512 over the Passaic River, and like I said, it was in Berners Township and Long Hill Township in Somerset and Morris counties. The Passaic River provides the boundary between both of the counties. The bridge was built in 1931, so it's 87 years old, and based on its existing condition, it's in need of rehabilitation or replacement. The LCD study was initiated in November 2017 with NJTPA, Somerset County, and Morris County as the lead agencies. And the local capital project delivery process is unique in that it provides an opportunity for a public outreach throughout the entire study. That'll start in the LCD phase right now. It'll go all the way through construction, and this ensures transparency throughout the entire project process. So here's a high-level location map. It's also shown over there on the board. You can see the Valley Road Bridge. It's highlighted there. Berners Township's to the west, Long Hill Township to the right. The next is an aerial map, which there's a board over there. You can look at it after the presentation if you want to take a closer look. You can see here the constraints map. The bridge is here. The Passaic River County Park is here. King George's Road borders Valley Road to the west. So there's four main parts of the local capital project delivery process. That's shown on this board over here, the colored one. So the four phases are local concept development, local preliminary engineering, final design, right-of-way, acquisition, and then construction. So each of these phases probably takes about 18 months to complete. So right now, this project has just begun, so we're at the beginning of this orange phase here working right now to finalize the purpose and need for the project. This is a little bit more detailed flow chart of the local concept development process where we are right now. So as of now, we've conducted our project survey, we've performed base mapping, we evaluated the deficiencies of the bridge and the approach roadways, we've completed the environmental screening report, and we've summarized all the existing conditions into a project fact sheet, and then we've developed a draft purpose and need statement for the study. And that's where we are right now. So after this set of meetings, hopefully we can finalize the project purpose and need statement based on input from everyone. And a key component of this graphic too is the community outreach, which occurs throughout the entire project process. So right now there's 3 sets of meetings. The first set's now, and that will be the purpose and need. There's going to be a second set of meetings during the alternatives development phase, and that'll be to obtain everyone's input on the alternatives that we've developed so far. And then finally, at the end, we'll be coming out to the public one more time, and that'll be to present the preliminary preferred alternative, and that's PPA. I'll be referring to that later on in the presentation. So,
as Amy had mentioned, that this bridge was built back in 1931. It's a 3-span concrete encased multi-stringers. It's about another 3 feet long, with a roadway curve width of a 33 feet and 4 inches. Of all the features that are listed, I think one thing to take away is that this bridge has a posted weight limit of 16 tons. So right now it's structurally deficient due to aging infrastructure, which needs some attention. This also has a 5'6" sidewalk on each direction, which we'll try to maintain. As Amy had mentioned, there's a park right on the southeast quadrant of that bridge. Here's a general shot of the Valley Road. One on the left, if you're standing on the east approach looking west. One on the right is a west approach looking east. If you'll notice on the, let me see if this works. There we go. Right here is the entrance to the park, which is right here, and that's the T intersection where the River Road comes in. And on this side, now I'm on this side of the bridge. This is the access driveway to the wastewater pump station, and I believe that's just a private driveway. So there's some access points that we have to be conscious of as we move forward with this project. Here's a quick recap of the existing bridge condition. These are gathered from latest inspection report. So it's a snapshot of what the inspection report has revealed during the inspection stage. As I mentioned, this bridge is in poor condition due to the condition of the substructure and low inventory ratings. The substructure itself is in poor condition due to scaling and FOS. I show you some pictures of what the scaling and FOS and all that stuff is. It's a lot more fun when you look at the pictures than to read these words. Another thing, when I say substructure, just for you guys are aware, that means concrete portion of the bridge, that's everything below deck to the beam. So it's the piers and it's the abutment that you see as you drive around the bridge. That's what the substructure components are. And as I said before, this bridge is posted for 16-ton weight limit due to the structural deficiency of the bridge and sufficiency rating of 45.5 out of 100. That just means it's not in a good condition. Now, here's the fun stuff. Some of these pictures after the meeting, if you want to take a look, there's some better photos on the posters. You can take a look. Here's an old face fascia looking south to southwest. One on the right is the south fascia looking. But if you notice some of the stain marks, these are the fluorescents, and you'll see some spalls. Those are the concrete that's fallen off, cracked, and that's also evident right there. When you're this far away, you can see those defects, then you know you're dealing with construction, right? Here's a top view of the top deck. You'll notice on the existing balustrade right here, you can see the deterioration of it, and all the sealing that's done on top of the deck. And here's a end pylon that's completely deteriorating, just continues to deteriorate. Now this, whenever you have a deck that has this much seal on it, you know water's leaking big time. And that leads to damages like this. All this efflorescence, spall, these are all result of water penetrating through the concrete and leaching out, carrying the line that's in the cement through it. So you know you have void. Eventually this efflorescence will lead to this spall like this. And you can see all the concrete encasement that used to be around the steel beam has all fallen off already. And this pure beam seam is starting to deteriorate pretty rapidly. And you can see the evidence of the water staining in the pier there as well. So it's not going to get any better, as you can tell. And these are the stuff that you probably won't see as you drive over the bridge. And here's another view of the north fascia. This is a little bit closer view, and all of this is the efflorescence that we talked about, which is caused by all the water penetrating through the concrete. And this is a combination of efflorescence, pretty big spall, where the concrete chunks are falling off. And here's the corner of the abutment, where the concrete just fell off, and you can see the debris just collecting. And again, efflorescence and evidence of water leaking through all over the abutment face. And this is the same map as Amy went through briefly, but when we go through this environmental, some of the site constraints map, we're in purpose and need statement right now, but as we go through, we're going to be very conscientious of where our bridge is located. With some of the site constraints, like here is a wastewater pump station that's near the bridge, as well as there's a river road coming in right here, and this is a water booster station for New Jersey Water Works, I believe. And it's an environmental sensitive park area that we need to be conscious of. And this entire area is the Highlands, I want to get the right term, Highland planting area. Did I get that right? Yes. You can tell that environmental guy, right? Yeah. Just so you know. And this is the entire run of the Passaic River within the project area. And you can see this is all freshwater wetlands that we're dealing with as well, right along the river. So as we move through this design process, you'll see that our effort will be try to minimize the impacts of this environmentally sensitive area, as well as some of the utility constraints that we have. And here's a picture of some of those utility constraints. This is that water booster station that's located right in this triangular area, right there. So there'll be a pretty intense coordination with a lot of utilities to make sure what we can and what we cannot do during the tornado evaluation. And here's that wastewater booster pump station that's located right there, which is pretty close to the bridge as well. And here's the park. This is a trail, and this is right at the entrance of this park, right there, literally right adjacent to the bridge. Pretty nice. I've been out there. It's a pretty nice area. So this is another area we're going to try to avoid impacts to, or minimize impacts. So that whenever we're looking at it, evaluation as moving forward, we'll see what we can and cannot do due to all the site constraints related to utilities, all those environmental constraints, and hopefully feedback from you guys as well.
I'm just going to briefly talk about the environmental process, and that this happens throughout the entire project process. All federally funded projects require National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA documentation. This assures that we assess the environmental impacts of all the developed alternatives and the selected PPA as part of the project. And this NEPA documentation includes Section 106 consultation, and that is associated with the preservation of historic resources in the area, and it also includes Section 4F documentation, and this is associated with parklands and recreational areas. So the environmental screening report is one of the first steps in the LCD process. We have completed that to date, and that identifies all the existing environmental resources and concerns in the vicinity of the Valley Road Bridge. And then as the project moves forward, we'll also be assessing the environmental impacts of any of the developed alternatives. And this will be used in our alternatives analysis process, and then that will help us select an alternative that minimizes environmental impacts, and choose a PPA that can avoid or minimize any impacts to these resources. So like I said, the PPA will seek to avoid, minimize, or mitigate the impacts, and the coordination with permitting agencies such as the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, that will occur throughout the project process. We'll begin coordination in the LCD phase, and then that'll continue all the way through final design. That's when any environmental permits are secured for the project. So the environmental process also includes community involvement and public outreach, and that's throughout the life of the project. And I'm going to talk in a little bit more detail about the public outreach schedule for the LCD stage a little bit later in the presentation. So this is just an update as to what's been completed to the project for the project to date. We have ongoing data collection and analysis efforts. We've conducted the base mapping and conducted our project survey. We completed the environmental screening report. We've obtained and reviewed all the inspection reports, as-built plans, any available crash and traffic data. We've also identified existing utilities. As Chang mentioned, we have aerial utilities. We have underwater, under the river. There's water mains. Under the river, there's also a gas main and a telephone duct. So, we have a lot of utility constraints as we're moving forward with the project. We've also conducted recent traffic counts and also performed a crash analysis. Luckily, there really isn't a crash problem out there. I think in 3 years there was only 2 crashes. One was an animal and one was at the River Road intersection. So there didn't seem to be any crashes associated with the bridge itself. So that's good news. And we also identified existing substandard design elements. The main one being the sight distance from the River Road intersection. When you're making a left turn, it's very difficult to see on Valley Road. So some of our concepts, may also look at improving the sight distance for that intersection as well. We've completed hydrology and hydraulic analysis for the Passaic River. And then all of our existing conditions, all the analysis, they've all been summarized in a draft project fact sheet. And then now we are initiating our public outreach efforts. We had a local officials briefing at the end of April. That was the first meeting. And then today we're holding the stakeholders meeting in the Public Information Center this evening. So we developed a draft purpose and need statement, and then our plan is to finalize that purpose and need statement subsequent to this first set of meetings once we've obtained all the input from you, the stakeholders, and then the public this evening. So developing a well-defined purpose and need statement is a very important part of the LCD process. It's part of the NEPA documentation that's required, and it really provides the basis for the development of alternatives and as the project moves forward through the LCD process. There's 3 parts to the purpose and need. The project purpose defines the transportation problem to be solved. So I'm going to just actually read to you the draft purpose that we have right now. So the purpose of this project is to address the deficiencies of the Valley Road Bridge over the Passaic River and to provide an upgraded structure that meets current standards and maintains a safe means of transportation across the Passaic River for all users. So that's what we have right now based on what we've seen in the field and based on our analysis of existing conditions. So the second part of the purpose and need is actually the project need, which provides justification for the purpose. So it's the project needs, it's longer than just one sentence, so I'm not going to read it, but in general, this is where you provide more detailed data as to why you're doing the project. So basically for Valley Road, you're kind of looking at, you know, two main items for the project need, in that Valley Road is an important transportation link between neighboring communities and interstates such as I-78 and I-287, and also the fact that the bridge is in poor condition with a sufficiency rating of 45.5 out of 100, and is also load posted for 16 tons. So those are two of the main, you know, parts of the need of the project. Then the third part is the goals and objectives, and these are issues that we'll attempt to address as part of the PPA. We'll try to address as many as possible. We've identified a few. I'm just going to briefly go through a couple. So this would be to upgrade the bridge structural capacity to meet current standards, upgrade the bridge and approach roadways to meet current standards, minimize environmental impacts, minimize impacts to the Passaic River Park, and also minimize impacts to existing utilities, minimize disruptions to traffic operations, and also maintain access to adjacent properties during construction, provide bicycle compatibility on the approach roadways, and also to maintain the existing aesthetics of the bridge to the extent feasible. So that's what we have so far. This is what we're looking for, your input as to things that you would like to see for the project. So that is, you know, the main part of this meeting is to obtain feedback from the attendees and the locals. So the project itself has an 18-month schedule. There's some major milestones, the purpose and needs statement. We're trying to finalize that in June 2018. We'll be developing conceptual alternatives in June and July. And then we'll be having another set of meetings to present these alternatives and get input from stakeholders and the public about the alternatives. Then we hope to select the PPA in late fall of 2018. And then we'll be submitting the draft LCD report in the spring of 2019, and then completing the LCD phase in June of 2019. That includes all the reviews and other documentation that needs to be completed. So here is the slightly more detailed community involvement schedule. So right now we're at the first set of meetings, and that's the introduction and the purpose and need. We had the local officials briefing in April, and today we're having the stakeholders meeting in the Public Information Center. The second set of meetings will be in the summer of 2018. We'll have another local officials and then another stakeholders and Public Information Center. And at that meeting, you know, we would actually be bringing our concepts with us, and so we'd actually, you know, have something for you to look at and comment on, and, you know, provide us your preference as to what kind of bridge you would like to see here and alignments and things like that. So that's the little more exciting meeting. And then the third meeting would be to present the preliminary preferred alternative and get you know, public buy-in and stakeholder buy-in to the preferred option at that time. So that will be in the fall of 2018. So we do have a project website and social media, Twitter set up for this. So the website's valleyroadbridgenj.com. The Twitter is @valleyroadbridge. If you don't have a Twitter, there's actually the Twitter feed is actually shown on the front page of the website, so you can kind of see what's being tweeted out. I think we have tweets 3 times a week, so kind of sending people to the page, telling people when meetings are and things like that. And then, you know, the website has a lot of good information on it. It has meeting information, dates, it has contact information for the project team members. There are any finalized project documents, they'll be posted on there once they're finalized, and there's also a lot of photos. And then we will have a community survey also on the website, so you can go there, you can go in, fill out the survey, and when you submit it, it gets automatically sent to the project team, and then you know, we'll take a look at everybody's responses, and that'll also be incorporated into our purpose and need statement and the alternatives as we move forward. And so this PowerPoint presentation, we will have a PDF of it available on the website after the meeting. We also have a video, now, so that will also be on, on the website. So if you want to listen to it again, feel free. And then we have project contact information here, Brian Maurer's information, Megan Passion, and Rich Brundage. I believe they're also all on the website as well. Okay, so any questions or? Sure.
I have a question about that little area that's in the Highlands planning area. That's in Burns Township, isn't it?
Yeah, the Highlands are to the east, right?
Yeah, so I don't remember hearing that Burns Township is in conformance process for the Highlands. Is this within under your umbrella, or is that not what you talk about?
What I can say is a permit is not required under the Highlands Act because the project does not occur in the Highlands Preservation Area.
Right.
It only occurs in the planning area.
Right.
In terms of local...
Unless you went through conformance, in which case it would
Right.
be.
In terms of local conformity, I'm really not sure. You know,
Oh, well, I'm not sure what the words local conformity mean, really.
I was actually, I thought I was using your words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as part of this process, we would not be involved with Berners. From what you're saying is, we would not be involved in Berners Township compliance or conformity with the Highlands planning area. That would be a municipal level decision. Right?
Well, that's not exactly what I'm asking.
Oh, okay,
I thought
sorry.
maybe they might already be in conformance, in which case there would be other questions. But if they're not going to do that, then that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, what we need to know is whether or not we require a permit in terms of being in the Highlands region. And
Right.
we know that we don't require a permit through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection because the project is not located in the Highlands Preservation Area.
I
In
believe
terms of
that.
in terms of a local conformity or municipal conformity with the Highlands
Right.
Planning Act, I'm really not aware. It's not really relevant to the project itself.
I just wondered whether the Commissioner, and the next question is, you said that Richard Grubb is doing
Yes.
the cultural resources
Yes.
survey, and that they're in the process of doing it.
Well, they did a cultural resources screening so far. That was just to identify any sort of historic resources or properties in the area. And then as we would move forward through the process, once we develop what our preliminary preferred alternative is, then they would develop an area of potential effects for archaeology and historic architecture, and then they would determine then if additional surveys, phase 1 surveys would be required in terms of archaeology and
But have you
historic.
got something from them already?
If I can intercede.
Please, thank you.
Richard Grubb has simply done a background sensitivity research at this point. They have
Yeah.
not done any intensive reconnaissance or intensive level historical
Yeah, I
architectural
understand that, but
surveys.
have you got anything that you can hand out?
I don't have a handout for you, but I can tell you that the bridge, according to the NJDOT Historic Bridge Survey, the bridge is not considered eligible for the National or New Jersey Registers
Oh,
of
that's
Historic
true, yes, for
Places.
the Liechtenstein survey, yes.
Okay. The Liechtenstein survey is going to be revisited since that was published back in 1995. So Grubb is going to revisit the potential eligibility of the bridge. And that'll be based on the sample of similar bridges that currently exist today, compared with this bridge. So the bridge eligibility will be revisited. In terms of historic architectural, standing structures, there's no other structures known in the immediate project area that are on or eligible for the National Register.
Right.
In terms of archaeology, the project area is basically considered to have a general sensitivity for archaeological resources. There's no known archaeological sites within or adjacent to the project, but there are 5 known archaeological sites known within 1 mile. And given that the project occurs over the Passaic River, basically vast areas adjacent to a river have a higher sensitivity for prehistoric or historic archaeological resources.
Yeah,
So that's So right now, we're just looking at various conceptual alternatives.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
basically, once a preliminary preferred alternative is selected, then Grubb is going to come in and focus on that alternative and do an intensive level historic architectural survey within the area of potential effect for architecture,
Right.
and also phase 1 and/or phase 2
Yeah,
archaeological,
I know how that works.
Mhm.
Okay,
Which is basically anywhere that ground disturbance might occur.
right.
So,
I just wonder whether it would be possible to get on the list to get Richard Grubb reports as they come out.
you can if you give me your name,
Right. I can get
these-
them from them too, but,
well, you should probably go through me because they work for me.
Okay.
They work for us.
okay.
The Section 106 process that I'm sure you're familiar with requires that we include consulting and interested parties. So if you give me your name, your information, I can make sure that you are included in the process. Sure.
What I want to say is that just when I saw the bridge, I realized that for those of us who were introduced to New Jersey in the 20s and 30s from the backseat of our family Fords on Sunday afternoons, these bridges with the concrete railings designed like this and the large aggregate in the concrete, those are our definitions of New Jersey bridges. And even though the state has not yet gone beyond the survey of the really earlier, quote, historic bridges, these concrete designs are something that we are losing very, very fast simply because there is no set of protections, standards set up for them, but they are nonetheless more than 50 years old, and therefore we have to think about whether we're going to recognize them as part of what's called the recent past. So I would like to say that I had an instant salivation when I saw this bridge because I'm of the age when you would. And this kind of design is something that I would like to try to see taken care of whenever it can. That doesn't mean replicate it and pretend that you're building a 1930s concrete bridge when you're really not, but it means keeping what you had originally when you can. And it was very encouraging to hear that Somerset County was taking the lead on this project because that county is more flexible than some of the other counties in its understanding of the character of these things. And of course you understand that the alignment of the road is part of the character of the bridge as well as just the bridge itself. So that's when you start hearing about there's no sight distance. That's true, you don't want people to crash. But at the same time, that road is shaped the way it is because there is a history of leading up to a ford originally over the river. So we'll be thinking about that from time to time.
Excellent.
That's the lecture.
Thank you.
Actually, if I could just follow up, a lot of the points you did make is what we're incorporating in this next phase. One of the comments from the town was the aesthetics of this bridge. Unfortunately, some of the structural components right now are, once the concrete disintegrates in the
I
rebar,
could see that.
once it's gone, it's gone. And, so we can't. What's gone, you can't preserve it. But if we
Right.
go through
It's not revolutionary masonry. You can't keep it around. It dies.
But you can replicate.
Oh, yeah, but you have to be careful not to be hokey, don't you?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, well, that's good.
Okay. So
All these are things that need to be said, but as
Right.
long as you're saying them too, that's encouraging.
and then we have, and not to be excused, but we have concrete examples in Somerset County where we've done, we've actually taken the original bridge tracings and looked at some of the detailing and kind of trying to incorporate that and pay homage to that. So we'd like to incorporate this.
Maybe in some later meetings, we can have some pictures of that, so
Sure.
see how well you
Yeah,
do.
probably the next one,
Yeah.
we do the alternatives, we talk about.
Yeah,
On the alternatives, we're going to look at a lot of different options.
Yeah, well, that railing isn't tall enough, is it? It doesn't meet the fashion standards, does it?
It does not.
Not right, not the current
But
standards.
NJDOT right now is working on this type of open hole balustrade, concrete balustrade, because of all the concerns that they've heard from people like yourself. They're trying to replicate that. That will, I know you don't want to hear replicate, but it will actually meet the MASH crash test. When you have 56,000 pound truck coming at 56 miles an hour at an angle of this, I mean, it's really hard to keep that type of safety.
You have too many people in the world.
Right. Yes. Yes, that is true. So they are working on that, I believe. I don't think they have been approved by MASH and ASHTO yet, but I believe they went through the testing phase. So hopefully by the time this goes into PE and FT phase, that should be in the book so we can incorporate features like that into the product.
Encouraging,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, most people aren't too keen, especially if people who are used to seeing bridges like this and come back with a solid concrete parapet.
Jersey parapet.
Yeah, Jersey parapet. Right. What is that? Right, you know, but, and the DOT is aware, so they're doing what they can.
So part of our alternatives, we're going to look at aesthetics also.
Good, good.
And we're looking at aesthetics not just from the cultural resources or historic architectural standpoint, but, you know, it's also adjacent to our parks, and there's aesthetics that we want to maintain from that perspective also.
Sure.
Like you're saying, you know, people are accustomed to the view that they have today. And, you know, using your example again, you know, we don't want to just put a bright white Jersey barrier on either side and call it a day. It may be very, very safe, but, but it would really detract from the aesthetics that exist.
Yes.
And that's not what we're looking to do.
Right, okay. Good.
Well, thank you, great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.